Welcome, movie lovers. Today, let's take a fascinating journey through Portugal, a country that has inspired countless films and stories. Did you know that Portugal is home to one of the oldest universities in the world, the University of Coimbra, founded in 1290? It's a treasure trove of history. Portugal, perched on the western edge of the Iberian Peninsula, may look small on a map of Europe, but its story is anything but small. This is a country that forged the first truly global empire, one that shaped the course of world history for centuries. It is a place where old stone castles overlook rolling vineyards, where the rhythms of fado echo in narrow Lisbon streets, and where the Atlantic Ocean is both a boundary and a bridge to the wider world. When we look closely at Portugal, we find that its influence extends far beyond its borders. Its history, culture, and traditions carry lessons about resilience, curiosity, and the ways in which nations, no matter their size, can leave a profound mark on the globe. In this essay, we'll dive into 10 facts about Portugal, not simply listing them, but unpacking their depth, their historical background, and their modern-day relevance. 1. Portugal is one of the oldest nations in Europe. Few countries in Europe can claim the kind of uninterrupted national identity that Portugal enjoys. Its birth as a nation dates back to the 12th century, when Afonso Henriques, the son of a Burgundian nobleman, declared independence from the Kingdom of Leon and became the first king of Portugal in 1139. The significance of this is immense. While much of Europe was still in flux, Germany fragmented into duchies, Italy divided into city-states, and Spain, still fighting the reconquest of Portugal, had already established itself as a defined sovereign kingdom. By 1143, Portugal was recognized by the King of Leon, and in 1179, the Pope formally acknowledged Afonso as King of Portugal through the papal bull Manifestus Probatum. This papal recognition cemented Portugal's place in the community of Christian kingdoms. Unlike many European nations, Portugal's borders were settled relatively early, in 1297, with the Treaty of Alcanices, which defined its boundary with Castile, modern-day Spain. This border has remained essentially the same ever since, making it one of the oldest fixed borders in Europe. The Portuguese monarchy endured until 1910, when a revolution toppled King Manuel II and established a Portuguese republic. Yet the long continuity of monarchy, combined with the stability of borders, gave Portugal a remarkably strong national identity. Even during foreign occupations, such as the brief period of Spanish rule under the Iberian Union, 1580 to 1640, Portugal maintained its distinct culture, and in walking through towns like Guimarães, often called the cradle of the nation, one can sense this deep history. The medieval castle there stands as a reminder of the nation's origins. Evora, another historic city, reflects layers of Roman, Moorish, and medieval Portuguese influence. This long continuity gives modern Portugal a sense of rootedness and pride that few countries can match. 2. Portugal was a pioneer of the age of exploration. When we speak of Portugal's role in world history, the age of discovery looms large. Beginning in the 15th century, Portugal transformed itself from a relatively small agricultural kingdom on Europe's edge into the first truly global maritime power. This story begins with Prince Henry the Navigator, 1394 to 1460, who established a navigation school in Sagres on Portugal's southern coast. Henry sponsored voyages along the west coast of Africa, seeking new trade routes and knowledge of the wider world. His efforts led to the discovery of the Madeira Islands, 1419, and the Azores, 1427, both of which became stepping stones for further exploration. The breakthroughs continued. In 1488, Bartolomeu Dias rounded the Cape of Good Hope, opening a sea route to Asia. Just 10 years later, Vasco da Gama sailed all the way to India, arriving in Calicut in 1498. This achievement revolutionized global trade, bypassing land routes controlled by Middle Eastern and Venetian traders. Portugal didn't stop there. In 1500, Pedro Álvares Cabral accidentally discovered Brazil while on his way to India. By the mid-16th century, the Portuguese Empire stretched from South America to Africa, India, Southeast Asia, and even Japan. Lisbon became the center of this maritime world, bustling with exotic goods, spices from India, gold from Africa, porcelain from China, and sugar from Brazil. Portuguese maps and charts, some of the most advanced of their time, helped other nations navigate oceans. The legacy of this era is profound. Portugal was the first European nation to establish a global empire, centuries before Britain or France. Its explorers helped knit together the first truly global economy, with consequences both positive and negative that continue to shape the modern world. 3. Portuguese is the sixth most spoken language in the world. Language is one of Portugal's greatest legacies. Despite being a country of just 10 million people, Portuguese is spoken by over 260 million people worldwide, making it the sixth most spoken language globally. This widespread use of Portuguese is a direct result of Portugal's colonial empire. Today, Portuguese is the official language of Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, São Tomé and Príncipe, and East Timor, as well as co-official in places. Brazil alone accounts for more than 200 million speakers, and Brazilian Portuguese has developed its own distinct rhythms, accents, and vocabulary. For example, while a Portuguese in Lisbon might say autocarro for bus, a Brazilian would say minibus. Yet the two varieties remain mutually intelligible. Portuguese is also a language of culture. Portugal produced some of the world's most admired poets and writers, including Luís de Camps, whose epic poem Os Lusíadas celebrates Portugal's maritime adventures. In the 20th century, Fernando Pessoa emerged as one of modernism's greatest literary figures, writing under multiple heteronyms, each with its own distinct style and worldview. The language is also famous for words that express uniquely Portuguese concepts. The most famous is saudade, a word that has no perfect translation in English. It conveys a bittersweet sense of longing for something lost, distant, or unattainable, a central theme in Portuguese culture. 4. Portugal has a rich tradition of music, especially fado. To understand Portugal emotionally, one must listen to fado, the haunting traditional music often performed in Lisbon's old neighborhoods. Fado is more than just a genre, it is an expression of saudade. A typical fado performance involves a singer, usually dressed in black, accompanied by the 12-string Portuguese guitar. The lyrics often speak of love, fate, nostalgia, or the hardships of everyday life. In Lisbon, fado is associated with taverns and working-class culture, while in Coimbra it developed a more academic and refined form, often sung by male university students. The greatest fado singer of the 20th century was Amália Rodrigues, known as the Queen of Fado. Her powerful voice brought the music to international audiences, and she remains a national icon. Today, singers like Marisa, Ana Moura, and Carminho continue to reinvent fado, blending it with jazz, pop, and world music influences while preserving its soul. But Portugal's musical traditions go beyond fado. The north has folk dances accompanied by bagpipes, while Madeira and the Azores feature lively festival songs. In modern times, Portugal has also embraced global genres. Lisbon's neighborhoods, home to large Cape Verdean and Angolan communities, have given rise to vibrant styles like kizomba and funana. In 2017, Portugal won the Eurovision Song Contest for the first time, with Salvador Sobral's delicate ballad Amar Pelos Dois. His heartfelt performance, rooted in simplicity rather than spectacle, captured the essence of Portuguese musical identity. 5. Portugal is famous for its unique cuisine and wine. Food is one of the most intimate windows into a culture, and Portuguese cuisine tells a story of seafaring, simplicity, and strong flavors. At the heart of Portuguese cuisine is bacalhau, salted codfish. It is said there are 365 recipes for bacalhau, one for each day of the year. Dishes like bacalhau à brás, shredded cod with potatoes and eggs, or bacalhau com natas, cod with cream, are staples of family gatherings. Portugal's long Atlantic coastline means seafood is abundant. Grilled sardines, octopus salad, and clams cooked in garlic and olive oil are popular favorites. Inland, pork is king, especially in the form of chorico, spiced sausage, and leitão assado, roast suckling pig. Soups are another cornerstone. Caldo verde, a humble blend of potatoes, kale, and sausage, is considered a national dish. For dessert, nothing surpasses the pastel de nata, a flaky custard tart invented by monks in Belém, Lisbon. These pastries have spread worldwide, but tasting one fresh from the oven in its birthplace is a near spiritual experience. Wine is equally central. Portugal is the birthplace of port wine, a sweet fortified wine from the Douro Valley. But beyond port, Portugal produces a wide variety of wines: crisp vinho verde, bold reds from the Alentejo, and rich wines from the Dio. Portugal's culinary traditions also reflect its history as a global empire. The Portuguese introduced chilies to India, giving rise to vindaloo, tempura to Japan, and feijoada, a bean and pork stew, to Brazil. In turn, Portugal adopted ingredients like tomatoes, potatoes, and tea from its colonies. Eating in Portugal is never just about food. It's about family, heritage, and a sense of place. Meals are long, social, and steeped in tradition. 6. Portugal has some of Europe's most beautiful landscapes. Despite its modest size, Portugal boasts a remarkable variety of landscapes. In the north, the Minho region is lush and green, crisscrossed with rivers and vineyards producing the famous vinho verde. The Douro Valley, with its terraced hillsides, is not only a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but also one of the most picturesque wine regions in the world. Central Portugal features the Serra da Estrela, the highest mountain range on the mainland, known for hiking trails and its namesake cheese. In contrast, the South's Alentejo, is a land of rolling plains, cork oak trees, and whitewashed villages that shimmer under the sun. The Algarve is perhaps Portugal's best-known natural region, famous for its golden cliffs, hidden coves, and pristine beaches. Towns like Lagos and Albufeira attract millions of visitors, yet quieter corners like Tavira still retain an authentic charm. Beyond the mainland, Portugal's island territories are gems of natural beauty. The Azores, 9 volcanic islands in the mid-Atlantic, are a paradise of crater lakes, geothermal springs, and whale-watching opportunities. The island of São Miguel is especially famous for the Sete lakes, whose twin craters shimmer in shades of blue and green. Meanwhile, Madeira, the island of eternal spring, offers lush mountains, dramatic cliffs, and the historic city of Funchal. Portugal's varied geography makes it ideal for outdoor enthusiasts. Surfers flock to Nazaré, where record-breaking waves tower over 30 meters. Hikers explore the Penedeiras National Park. Birdwatchers head to the Tagus estuary. The sheer diversity of landscapes ensures that no two parts of Portugal feel alike. 7. Portugal holds the record for the world's longest-lasting colonial empire. When Ceuta, a city in North Africa, was captured by the Portuguese in 1415, it marked the beginning of what would become the world's longest-lived colonial empire. Portugal's empire lasted nearly 6 centuries, ending only in 1999 with the handover of Macau. At its peak, the Portuguese Empire was truly global. It stretched from Brazil in the Americas to Angola and Mozambique in Africa, Goa and Malacca in Asia, and Timor and Macau in the Far East. Portugal controlled strategic points along the world's most important trade routes, making Lisbon one of the wealthiest cities of the 16th century. The empire was built on both trade and colonization. Portugal was a key player in the Atlantic slave trade, forcibly transporting millions of Africans to the Americas. This dark legacy remains part of Portugal's historical reckoning today. Yet the empire also facilitated cultural exchange. The spread of crops, technologies, and ideas reshaped societies on multiple continents. Today, the Community of Portuguese-Language Countries, CPLP, reflects Portugal's enduring connections with its former colonies, promoting cooperation in language, education, and culture. Portugal's empire is a complex legacy, one of adventure, innovation, exploitation, and resilience. It illustrates how a small European nation became, for a time, a global superpower. 8. Portugal has a distinct architectural style. Manuline. Portuguese architecture is instantly recognizable for its Manuline style, a highly ornate form of late Gothic that flourished during the reign of King Manuel I, 1495 to 1521. This style reflects Portugal's maritime wealth, with motifs drawn from the sea and The Jerónimos Monastery in Lisbon is the most famous example. Its carved stonework features ropes, coral, anchors, and even exotic plants brought back by explorers. Nearby, the Tower of Belém, built to defend the Tagus River, is another Manuline masterpiece. Elsewhere, the Convent of Christ in Tomar, once the headquarters of the Knights Templar, displays intricate Manuline windows symbolizing Portugal's maritime triumphs. These monuments are now UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Manuline architecture represents more than decoration. It is a visual record of Portugal's golden age of discovery. It celebrates both faith and empire, blending Gothic complexity with Renaissance influences and uniquely Portuguese symbolism. 9. Portugal is a global leader in renewable energy. While Portugal's history is steeped in tradition, its present points toward the future. In recent decades, Portugal has become a pioneer in renewable energy, harnessing its natural resources of wind, sun, and water. In 2016, Portugal achieved a milestone by running entirely on renewable energy for 4 consecutive days. Today, more than half of Portugal's electricity comes from renewable sources, with goals to reach carbon neutrality by 2050. Offshore wind farms, hydroelectric dams, and vast solar fields dot the country's landscape. Portugal's commitment to green energy is not just about environmental responsibility. It also reflects economic strategy. By investing early in renewable infrastructure, Portugal has positioned itself as a leader in Europe's energy transition. This focus aligns with its natural identity as a country shaped by its environment and proximity to the Atlantic. 10. Portugal has a deeply rooted cultural identity, balancing tradition and modernity. At the heart of all these facts lies a deeper truth. Portugal has a cultural identity that is both deeply traditional and strikingly modern. Traditions remain strong. Every June, Lisbon erupts in the Festas de Santo Antonio, when neighborhoods are decorated with colorful streamers, sardines are grilled on every corner, and music fills the streets. Pilgrims still flock to Fatima, one of Catholicism's most important shrines. Rural villages maintain folk dances, crafts, and festivals that date back centuries. Yet Portugal is also cosmopolitan and innovative. Lisbon and Porto have become creative hubs, attracting artists, entrepreneurs, and digital nomads. Portuguese architecture blends old-world charm with cutting-edge design. See Lisbon's MAT, Museum of Art, Architecture and Technology, or Porto's Casa da Música. The Portuguese are also shaped by migration. Millions emigrated to France, Luxembourg, and Brazil in the 20th century, while today Portugal welcomes newcomers from across Europe, Africa, and Asia. This mix of tradition and openness gives Portugal a distinctive cultural balance. At its core, Portuguese identity is encapsulated by saudade. This word, untranslatable in its fullness, conveys longing for what is distant, a sense of nostalgia mixed with hope. It is the soul of fado, the essence of poetry, and the heart of how Portugal sees itself in the world, never fully satisfied, always yearning, but deeply rooted in place and memory. Conclusion: Portugal may be modest in size, but its contributions to world history and culture are anything but small. It is one of Europe's oldest nations, a pioneer of global exploration, and the source of a language spoken by millions. Its cuisine, music, and architecture reflect centuries of tradition and exchange. Its landscapes range from mountains to beaches to volcanic islands. Its empire shaped the modern world, and its renewable energy policies shape the future. Above all, Portugal shows how a nation can balance pride in its past with openness to the world and a commitment to innovation. To understand Portugal is to understand the paradox of a country that is both ancient and modern, small and global, nostalgic and forward-looking. Portugal is not just a country, it is a story that continues to unfold. If you enjoyed these facts, don't forget to follow us for more exciting content. Thank you for watching.